Reuven did not run away. He ran toward that gunfire. I believe that the sound of children playing is like a symphony. Their laughter is like a song. I think it's the happiest, most wonderful sound a human can enjoy. It succeeded that night in bringing horror, but it will never succeed in extinguishing that light. Because the Jewish people have carried that light for thousands of years. Darkness cannot drive out darkness. Only light can do that. Life continues, faith continues, communities continue. And as Tasmanians together, so must our resolve. Thank you, Speaker. I thank the Premier for his motion today. I rise to support it on behalf of the people of Bass. I speak today with both great sorrow and great resolve. Colleagues, last month I travelled to Bondi to pay my respects in person. I spent that afternoon with the Chabad of Bondi community, meeting with Rabbi Reuven Morrison, speaking with men and women of that congregation, and being guided through their shul, their synagogue. When I arrived, there was a significant security presence. And in nearly 52 years of attending churches across Tasmania, interstate and overseas, I just have to emphasise that I have never once walked through armed security personnel in order to worship, not once. And that reality alone told me a real story, an important one, a stark reality for people living in a country that believes we respect freedom of religion, freedom of speech and freedom of association. Inside the shul, I was shown behind the curtain to the ark that holds the sacred scrolls of Scripture, the heart of the Jewish faith and tradition. And for Christians, it's our Old Testament. We revere it. I felt without doubt that this shul is a place of reverence, prayer and also continuity, connecting Abraham, the children of Israel, and today's believers. But what was the hardest was not that symbolism. It was the silence. Why, you may ask, during a condolence motion about murdered Australians, would I begin my contribution by sharing about this visit? It's this. As I moved through that synagogue, I saw the empty seats. Seats that should have been filled with fathers, mothers, husbands, wives, sons and daughters. Seats now marked with a simple sign asking visitors to please don't sit here, because it's the seat of the deceased. One sign read, "This is the seat of Tibor Whiteson. Please leave his seat vacant. His presence is constantly felt." Another, "This is the seat of Reuven Morrison. Please leave his seat vacant. His presence is constantly felt." Reuven Morrison's story reflects a journey familiar to many Jewish Australians. As a teenager, he ran away from the Soviet Union with his family, seeking the freedom and the safety that our country offers. It was here in Australia that he met his wife Leah on that very beach at Bondi. Following October 7 and before he was murdered, he spoke openly about the rise of anti-Semitism, warning leaders that Jewish families should never have to live in fear and that both condemnation and action were needed. On the night of the attack, when gunmen opened fire on families gathered to celebrate Hanukkah, Reuven did not run away. He ran toward that gunfire. Unarmed, except for a brick, he confronted the attackers, shouting and throwing whatever he could to try to stop them. In doing so, he actually helped others to escape. Reuven Morrison died as he lived, protecting his community. Reuven was a strong supporter of our Chabad of Tasmania and an encourager of our guest here today, Rabbi Yochanan Gordon. This is the seat of Alex Kleitman. Please leave his seat vacant. His presence is constantly felt. My host on that day, Mendy, said these words to me. Alex was known as a man who always had a smile, a Holocaust survivor, and a deeply loved member of the community. He was devoted to his wife and rarely left her side. This is the seat of Rabbi Eli Schlanger. Please leave his seat vacant. His presence is constantly felt. Rabbi Eli was the son-in-law of Rabbi Ullman, who I had met earlier that day. He was also the brother-in-law of my guide and host, Mendy Ullman, an assistant rabbi, and a close friend of Rabbi Gordon and his family. Those impacts reached our small state profoundly. Speaker and colleagues, to see these seats deliberately left empty is to feel their absence in a profoundly human way, and I was not ready or prepared for those feelings. It wasn't abstract, it wasn't political, it became personal. Afterwards, I was escorted to Bondi Beach, to the site of the atrocity, the massacre. The lawn, the beautiful playground, the footbridge. The footbridge was where my eye was really mostly taken to first. That footbridge was very busy with pedestrians going about their day. Lots of people. The playground was alive and really noisy. And I believe that the sound of children playing is like a symphony. Their laughter is like a song. I think it's the happiest, most wonderful sound a human can enjoy. And that was what it was like on that day that I visited, midweek, just as it should be. But as we all know, on that Sunday night in December, that's not how it was. On the first night of Hanukkah, when the community gathered for their beloved tradition, Hanukkah on the beach, it had been going, I think, for over 3 decades. Many present were refugees from the Soviet Union and their descendants who'd come to Australia to escape religious persecution. As we all know, Hanukkah is the festival of lights. That festival commemorates a moment in Jewish history when oppression sought to extinguish faith, and yet the light endured. Jewish people believe it was a miracle of the hand of God. The message at the heart of Hanukkah, with the light enduring, is a simple but profound one. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And the light of truth, courage and faith is stronger than hatred. Perfect love drives out fear. Colleagues, another great Jewish festival carries a similar lesson, the festival of Purim. Purim recalls the story told in the book of Esther, when Haman, with the consent of King Xerxes of Persia, plotted the annihilation of the Jewish people throughout that empire. Through the courage of Esther and Mordecai, that evil plan was exposed and stopped. The very day chosen for the destruction of the Jewish people instead became their day of deliverance. In fact, it's this week Jewish communities across the world have been celebrating Purim. And today, as we meet, speak and listen here in this House to consider the condolence motion, Purim continues to be celebrated in Jerusalem. For thousands of years, these stories, Hanukkah and Purim, have been told because they remind humanity that when darkness threatens to prevail, courage, faith and righteousness can overcome it. An act of antisemitic terror sought to turn a place of celebration into a place of horror. It sought to make worship fearful. It sought to silence the joy and those sounds of children playing. It succeeded that night in bringing horror, but it will never succeed in extinguishing that light. Because the Jewish people have carried that light for thousands of years. Speaker, those motivated by hate and evil have actually got it exactly the wrong way round. For it's the light, however small, however fragile, which drives away the darkness, however great, however overwhelming that darkness may seem. The Jewish truth is also a human truth. It calls on us to act. We must condemn anti-Semitism and ugly and ancient hatred without hesitation. I certainly do. I know this House does. And we must affirm clearly and confidently that every Australian, every Tasmanian, of any religion, has the right to live, work, worship and gather in peace. Those empty seats in that synagogue made a big impact on me, and they are a big reminder of lives stolen, taken from their community, their family, our nation. But they're also a reminder that hatred has not broken that community. That synagogue still gathers. I wouldn't say fearlessly, but it still gathers. That playground is still full of children. Just right now, on a Wednesday afternoon, it would be noisy, with families enjoying each other's company. That footbridge is still walked by ordinary people living their lives, knowing just how significant that site has been in the trauma of our nation. As I close, may I share these. In moments like this, in need of comfort, I'm reminded of the words of Scripture. The Lord is my shepherd. I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul. He leads me in paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. For you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Psalm 23, a psalm of David, the great king of ancient Israel, shared, loved and believed by both Jews and Christians and many others. Honourable Speaker, life continues, faith continues, communities continue. And as Tasmanians together, so must our resolve as we stand with our fellow Tasmanians who have been so impacted and so harmed by the events of last December.